My name is Gary Justiss. I'm an architect here, at one of several architects here at Kennebec, and we're on a lot that actually my first project here at Kennebec that's just been cleared. And John asked me to come kind of explain how the project developed and how it was tailored to fit the site. Obviously, when a client approaches me and they've purchased a lake site, there's a particular reason they chose that site. So the first question I have for an owner is, why did you choose this particular site? There's probably something about it that attracted them and caused them to choose it out of all the others. And it's almost always something to do with views of the lake. So this particular lot, it's kind of a hammerhead shaped lot. It comes from the road, from the turnaround, and then it spreads out with this beautiful kind of panoramic view of both a cove and Longwater. And so the answer to my question, they said, was, well, we really love this point on the lot that has a view of the Longwater. And so the challenge here was, being a point, it has setbacks on three sides. So there's a limited amount of building footprint available. What we decided to do was to place the most important parts of the house on that point, which were the living areas and the master suite. So they're all pushed out into that building footprint on the point with a wraparound porch, a large 18-foot square living porch on the end, so that you have major living areas and glass expanses looking out into that Longwater. So the rest of the building program, which were the guest bedrooms and the garage with a bonus room, kind of a bunk room above that, was rotated around to the cove part of the property, where the views are beautiful but not quite as expansive. So we've got a wing to the left that will have bedroom down, laundry area for bringing your mess in from the lake. On the second floor, there'll be 2 guest rooms, and then coming back away from the view would be where the garage is, and then a kid's bunk bonus room above that. So the idea of spreading the house out allows it to maximize the views, but also it allows you to break down the mass of the house. Because the last thing you really want on a natural site is a big chunk of a house that sort of destroys all the trees and looks like a McMansion. So one of the more dramatic things we did here was to connect the guest bedroom wing and the living room wing with a glass hallway that will look out where that group of trees is in the middle. So when you enter from the parking court or the garage and you come into this glass hallway, you'll be like looking through the house at a view of the lake, but they'll still would be filtered by the trees. Obviously, you can get a hard survey, an exact survey of the property lines, but once you get to the waterfront, it's sort of a really squirrely, undefined line. But when the seawall is built and the final negotiations are had with the power company about exactly where that seawall is, it's not until that point that you have a hard surveyable line. So often you kind of have to adjust from the early survey where you don't have a distinct water line to when you do. And I was telling John earlier that we've got a condition where we had to pull back a wall behind the 25-foot setback, but I want to verify that, because now that the seawall is in, I think we might have a little more room. So it's just a process. Once you build the house, you'll have an approved landscape plan, but once the house is there, you might see opportunities that you couldn't see on paper. And so I foresee a prospect, or a phase where people will maybe want to revise and resubmit their landscape plan to react to things that you find on the ground, once the house is actually framed up. Historically, a large portion of my design work over the last, say, 30 years has been on the Gulf Coast. And people ask me, okay, well, what's the difference between beach design and lake design? And frankly, they're very similar because they're both extremely view oriented, and they're both about recreation and water. So you've got, in both cases, you've got views you're exploiting, you've got porches because it's an environment that you're going to do a lot of outdoor living. You've got a lot of activities that require equipment. You know, at the beach you got floats and kayaks and boogie boards and, you know, kids' sand toys. You know, at the lake you've got a whole other group of things like, you know, fishing poles and canoes and paddles and whatever. They all take space and they all create mess. So to enjoy your time in recreation, you've got to accommodate those things so that you don't have to spend tons of time, you know, dealing with that. So in both cases, you've got to think about the process of coming in from your activity and what do you do with all that stuff? How do you get rid of the dirty clothes? You know, at the beach, it's sandy shoes. Here, it's probably muddy boots, maybe, or fish smell stuff. You know, so what you do is you try to create a house where you can actually enjoy yourself, so that those kind of realities are part of the design, and you're not worried about messing up your, you know, your environment with the realities of why you bought this house in the first place. So in a lot of ways, the two kind of structures are very similar. Probably the biggest difference is that typically on a lake house you've got more room. A beach lot is often very tiny. I mean, I've done beachfront houses on 30 by 50 lots, you know, where you have to go 3 stories up and put pools on the roof. And here, you know, you can spread out, you know, which is how I describe this house. That's a real luxury. So they're different, completely different, but they're also almost exactly the same. You know, I kind of describe myself as an architectural tailor because, you know, you're coming to me and you want a custom suit or gown, and to give you something that fits you, I've got to take your measurements. I've got to find out what your tastes are. I've got to find out what event you're going to, so that I can give you something that I'm proud of, but it also fits you. So, you know, I'm going to ask you, you know, like start a Pinterest page and pin things you like and pin things you don't like and tell me why. And that way, you know, I'm the architect and obviously I want to be proud of it, and it's going to kind of come out of my mind, but my mind is like a computer and you got to program it with the things that resonate with you. So if you're a person who has 3 dogs and you don't want to worry about them scratching the floor, then we're going to talk about, you know, recycled timber flooring that hadn't been sanded down all the way. If you're somebody who doesn't have pets or only has cats and you like glass tabletops and figurines, it's going to be a whole different. Usually you're not attracted that much to the lake, but still the point is you're a different kind of person. So the things that are appropriate to one type may not be appropriate to the other. And to me, that's one thing that makes my job exciting, is I don't do the same thing over and over and over again. You know, a house I would do in Kennebec is not the house I would do at Alice Beach or in Shoal Creek or in Blunt Springs, Alabama, out in the woods. You know, it makes it interesting because the context and the site and the client and the budget all conspire to sort of create a completely new opportunity.
Hope you enjoyed that interview with Gary Justiss. He's one of the approved architects here at Kennebec. I'm John Coley. If you're interested in lots here at Kennebec, please give me a call. You can come to my website, it's kennebecal.com, or you can go to lakemartinvoice.com and surf to Kennebec. If you have any questions about Gary, please contact him. I'll put his website in the notes below. He's a great guy and a great architect. So reach out to him if you'd like more information about him, and then call me if you'd like a waterfront lot at Kennebec on Lake Martin. Thanks.